Right, what's happening, people, and welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. Now, after watching yesterday's goalless draw with Brentford, watching it was enough. I just could not be bothered to sit and then speak about it straight away after the game. I needed to go away, dissect it, and enjoy myself a little bit. But I am joined by the big dog today to help me dissect exactly what went wrong for Chelsea against Brentford yesterday. So we will be speaking about the game. We will be speaking about one of the most questionable lineups of the entire season fielded by Enzo Maresca, for me, in my opinion. And bearing in mind, Newcastle play tonight, just where this result leaves us in terms of our quest to qualify automatically for UEFA Champions League football next season. Now, Josh, you predicted a win. I predicted a win. We ended up getting a draw. That makes it just one win in 7 against Brentford, right, since they've been promoted to the Premier League.
They're a big team.
It leaves us without a win in our last 3 trips to their ground.
Great.
Not great reading.
Great.
Isn't it?
No, it doesn't. And I know you won't say this, but to the audience, we love you. And I know that you're sticking with us throughout the mediocrity of Chelsea. Do us a favour. Like the video if you haven't liked it already. Give Joey's channel a subscription if you haven't yet. Because quite frankly, this guy needs more cheering up than most Chelsea fans right now. And I think he could do with it. So if you could do us that pleasure. Now, to answer your question, how are we doing against Brentford, my friends? We're not doing that well. But you remember you just said that I had predicted a victory in this game. I did. I did predict a victory. I also said that it would be a draw in the Spurs game, which I got a lot of abuse for. But last 2 games, I've got the points correct.
Technically 4 points, so you're the winner here.
Yeah,
you're the big winner.
I don't want to say I'm playing the long game.
There you go.
But
you know,
did kind of call it.
There you go. There you go. On screen right now, you can see the starting 11 that Enzo Maresca thought fit to go with. Robert Sanchez in goal, Malo Gusto at fuck knows where back, Trevor Chalobah, Tosin Adarabioyo, and Reece James, everyone's favourite left back, the man who is renowned for playing left back over at left back. Caicedo, Enzo, Dewsbury Hall. By the way, people, this is just kind of for the sake of the graphic. We'll speak about actual average positions and where everyone was on the field as we go on. Madueke over on one side. The prolific Christopher Nkunku, the man that we signed from the Bundesliga, thinking that he was going to be the answer to so many of our problems through the middle. And obviously, Jadon Sancho on the left wing. Now, going off the back of the fact that we had played on Thursday night, did you envision there being some precaution from Enzo Maresca in terms of the starting lineup? Or did you more so think that it could be precaution when it comes to in-game management in terms of maybe going a little bit stronger with the starting lineup, or I don't know. You tell me your thoughts, Josh.
Do you remember there was, I believe it was Mauricio Sarri, when he was playing N'Golo Kante into the ground, and people thought that it could basically ruin his career because the amount of football that he was playing. And in that occasion, Chelsea fans were saying, we need to protect this guy, we need to put him in cotton wool, because ruining a career like he would have because you want to overplay him and because you need the results would be a real shame. And so I remember a lot of Chelsea fans being quite aggressively against that. So
we were also a team that finished pretty much within the top 3 every single season, apart from the minor blip.
So allow me, that was my devil's advocate, to say. So there is some rationale behind this. I just think Maresca got this so wrong, and the reason why is, what he could have done is he could have said, yeah, fair enough, I will only play Nicholas Jackson for a half. I will only play Cole Palmer for a half as well. Pedro Neto, same. Cucurella, maybe the same. Rotate those players out. Obviously, Noni Madueke's coming back from an injury. Jackson's coming back from an injury. Cole Palmer's got muscular fatigue, didn't go on the international break. Cucurella is the only fit left back we have, so if he gets an injury, big problems. So I can understand the rationale behind resting these players at some point of the game. I think you and I would agree we would have probably done it where we would have started our best team, get a couple of goals up, and then go defensive from there. You could have easily played 5 at the back. You could have held on to the victory and gone from there.
Yeah, I mean, to say that in terms of, oh, he could potentially get an injury, that's like worrying about getting fucking sunburn on the last day of the holiday, mate.
Yeah.
Like, the season's in the final moments now. We're literally in the running.
Yeah.
And for me, that means run them into the fucking ground if you have to, mate, because you've put us in a position here where actually we need these boys. Do you know what I mean? So when I look at that team, right, completely understand it. Nicholas Jackson, he has just come back from a long layoff and, you know...
And he's a key player.
Playing over, an hour or whatever he did against Spurs. I think that, yeah, you could look at that and you could say it's important. If it is important, then why the fuck have you gone Nkunku through the middle? Because Nkunku through the middle has showed us time in, time out that he's absolutely shit there. Absolutely fucking rubbish there. Rubbish.
Where is he good, though?
Where's he good?
Where is he good? On the bench?
Bundesliga, ideally. No, fucking left back in the changing rooms. Yeah. Fuck knows, don't care. But I've also got to say about Jackson is, all right, yeah, he played on Thursday night. He played against Spurs. He's apparently not been rushed back into the lineup. That's the briefings that we've been given and what we've been heard. And we've heard this about a few players, right? There's a fine line at the minute because it's like all of a sudden everyone goes, oh, thrown back straight into the pan. You know, Wesley Fofana been out for quite a while, starts the game, and there's been so many other instances like Nicholas Jackson. But then we're hearing from the PR briefings that no, they're not rushing them back. They may be starting games as opposed to normally when you see a player come back from injury, get, you know, almost the way that Aston Villa bedded in Marcus Rashford when he hadn't been playing for Man United. He signs for Aston Villa on loan. You see him getting 10s, 20s, and then eventually coming into the starting lineups. Whereas Chelsea were doing it in a different way. We were starting them from the start. We've done it with Cucurella, we've done it with Wesley Fofana, we've done it with Reece James, we've done it with Nicholas Jackson, right? I understand that. But in between that Spurs game and then moving into the Brentford game, right, there's been no travel. You know, you've not had Legia Warsaw away within that time. There's no actual need, right, if we're going by the book, and you're looking at the 2 games. Because this starting lineup for me, told me that he was prioritising the game against Legia Warsaw, the away fixture, right? Now, there's no need for Nicholas Jackson to be starting in that Conference League game. Because as shit as I've said Nkunku has been, if you look at the Conference League table in terms of goals and assists, he is right up there in that competition. So, if Jackson has to be rested, I understand it. But why rest him for this game? Like, why rest him for this game? Because if we do go on to the question of what is more important, right? The Legia Warsaw fixture, one of 2 fixtures we have, by the way, the second being at home at Stamford Bridge. Like, how much fucking damage can Legia Warsaw do to us? What's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen in that game? We come away being beaten by 1 goal. We'll fucking overturn that at Stamford Bridge if you just start the big boys at Stamford Bridge in that game. So there's no way that the Brentford game should have been under-prioritised over the Legia Warsaw game. And that starting lineup tells me that is exactly what you have just done. We've had an international break. We've come back after the international break. Jackson's come back in. Obviously, I know Madueke's in from the start. Cole Palmer literally got selected for England from that international break, yeah? So that tells me that, yeah, all right, he wasn't 100% fully fit and available, and he made the decision to stay with his club. Maybe advisors within the club were crucial in making that decision, but Cole Palmer made the decision. He wasn't ruled out through injury. He made the decision it's going to be best for his rehabilitation to miss out on that international break, right? He's stayed with Chelsea. He's played against Spurs. He's looked the best he has in fucking months because you paired him up with Nicholas Jackson. You have got the opportunity now to close the ground. We would have been behind, 2 points behind Nottingham Forest, right? Bearing in mind that we play them on the last game of the season. That could have literally took us back 20 years to when we played Liverpool on the last game of the season. And the winner of that match would go on to be the team that gets Champions League qualification. We have a few of those games in there against Newcastle. I do not understand why you've prioritised the match against Legia Warsaw. Now, is there any part of me that's wrong, Josh, and he hasn't prioritised that match against Legia Warsaw?
Well, first of all, what I would also say is each one of those places is millions and millions of pounds as well. So let alone the actual impact of finishing third would be on us as fans. We would be absolutely delighted. Each one of those is millions of pounds of revenue that they can then invest back in the squad. So it doesn't make any sense. To answer your question then on Legia Warsaw, I think this may have been slightly twisted in terms of I don't think that Nicholas Jackson is going to start against Legia Warsaw. I just don't. And I think that Christopher Nkunku will start against Legia Warsaw, to be completely frank. And if we do get into a position where Palmer and Jackson are starting in that game, then yeah, absolutely something is wrong. But I don't think it will be. I just think he's managing them in terms of their fitness. I think he's seen something in training where he's worried about them breaking down. And let's get this right. If Nicholas Jackson gets any sort of significant injury, our season is pretty much, you might as well get rid of Champions League football. It would be done. Like if Jackson is out for 2 or 3 weeks, I think you can kiss the Champions League dream goodbye. And it's the same for Cole Palmer. If Cole Palmer was out for any significant amount of time, there is no replacement for him.
So did he make the right decision yesterday with that starting
I
lineup?
personally would have done it another way, but I can understand why he was managing the players. And ultimately, do you want Nicholas Jackson to go the way that Wesley Fofana is, and he's out for the rest of the season? That would be catastrophic. It would be absolutely season-ending.
It would be, yeah. But at the same time,
this result could be season-ending.
At the same time, this result could be season-ending.
100%.
We just dropped points to Brentford in a weekend where Aston Villa have won. In a weekend where, more importantly, Nottingham Forest have lost, and we could have been able to gain some
City
ground
have dropped
on
points.
them. In a weekend where City have dropped points, and in a weekend where tonight, at the time of recording, Newcastle are going to play. Now, fuck me. If there's any team you want to play, it's Leicester.
Yes.
Newcastle are going to beat Leicester. Yeah? And yeah, all right, because of goal difference, they'll only go level with us, but they'll have a game in hand on us. That is out of our reach now. Do you know what I mean? And I look at the game itself, and you can maybe forgive it if Chelsea go out there and they play some nice football and it does look good and whatnot, but it didn't. Like, it's weird, yeah. It's funny. I looked on I was watching back the highlights earlier, yeah. And Sky Sports titled the highlights of this game, "The Bees hold Chelsea to a goalless draw," right? Chelsea had more possession, they had more shots on target, they had more shots off target, they had more block shots. Did Brentford hold us? Is that the game you watched? Did you watch a game where Brentford held Chelsea?
They had
to a
more
goalless draw?
big chances than us. The XG was pretty similar, to be fair. Like, we edged it, I think, but not by much. And so I think they had a huge chance in the second half. That header that was headed down, was it Sev van der Berg, should have scored.
Yeah.
Should have absolutely scored that. So I think there are so many chances in games that we've won recently that really should have been slotted home by our opponents.
And I can think of 2 saves that Sanchez made
did, which
as well,
were really good saves.
As well, which were better, really. All right, you could look at the Pedro Neto shot, maybe. Keeper
Sanchez
save.
has made some pretty good saves recently, by the way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He did also give the ball away yesterday, once again, straight to a Brentford player.
We've always said that the feet of Robert Sanchez are not good. We know that. His saving's all right.
But either way, what I'm saying is, yeah, I looked at that yesterday and I just thought, like, it was funny that Sky titled it in that way because we weren't held to a goalless draw. Like, I get, open to interpretation. I don't think we were held. I think a goalless draw was a fair result.
Absolutely
I think
fair.
neither team did enough to be able to score. I think our lack of depth is so vast.
So who's to blame then? Who's to blame? Is it the manager? Is it the players, or is it the board? Because I've seen lots of people slagging off the manager in the last couple of days, and the football is awful. So I understand why the manager is getting the flack. I think there are players that really need to look at themselves in that team, and I also think the board needs to look at themselves. Because let's be honest, we don't have a backup striker.
Yeah.
The wingers are seriously underperforming. If Jadon Sancho does not go back to Man United, that will tell you everything you need to know about the state of Chelsea.
Well, it's definitely the board.
Yeah.
It's definitely the board. The board are to blame. The manager is not in control of who's there and who's not, right? So, if the manager is not in control, which we know now, of who is there and who is not, it is the board that are to blame. We can only blame the board. However, that doesn't mean that the sole blame goes on the board. And that doesn't mean that there aren't percentage splits that then go on the manager and then go on the players.
Right, people, I just want to quickly take this opportunity to tell you about new partners of the channel, Squawka. When you're in the YouTube industry like I am, there is a certain type of service that you could very much do with having on your side. And that is the service that stops you making blunders. And when I'm preparing for some of my videos, I use the website Squawka to use the player comparison matrix, and that helps me get a better understanding of comparing the players that I'm talking about. For example, a lot of you guys know that for every Chelsea game I put out my preferred starting lineup, and I do look into the underlying numbers of the players I'm picking and the players that I'm comparing, and that's where Squawka comes in. They offer the best player comparison matrix on the internet. The website is so efficient and so easy that even I can use it. For example, when I'm picking from Chelsea's 30 to 40 odd wingers that we've got at the club, I can very easily jump onto Squawka and see how their stats compare. But you don't need to be a YouTuber to need to use Squawka. You could use it for your bets when you're betting on first goal scorer and things like that. It could give you a better indication. Or you could just use it to look like a genius down the pub, and we all like to do that, don't we? So thank you very much to Squawka for not only helping me prepare for my videos, but also partnering up with the channel. So help support me by supporting the guys that support the channel in Squawka. They are linked in the description for this video. Let's get back into it.
Manager's lineup that he put out there, when you've got Cucurella available, when you've got Cole Palmer available, and when you've got Nicholas Jackson available, and you've seen very, very clearly. I don't care whether Spurs are 13th and, you know, by the time, or were 13th, and then after the time of recording ended up 16th, 15th, wherever they fucking are on the table. I don't care. Spurs are Spurs, and it is a London derby, and let's be honest, it's a Spurs side that not only were pretty much back to full strength, not just the 11 they had, also having the likes of Matthias Tell on the bench, Brennan Johnson on the bench. They all came on. That was a Spurs side that had there or thereabouts the same amount of fucking quality as the Chelsea side. It just so happens that things have gone different and whatnot, and their managers having a fucking nightmare at the moment. But either way, right, I think that the Spurs game showed us anyone with half a brain, Jackson and Palmer have literally the key to unlock the door to get this Chelsea side playing, maybe not as good as we did in the first 3 months of the season, but definitely playing 2 to 3 levels above what we've been playing at. And if you play 2 to 3 levels above what we've been playing at, what you do is you get a win against Spurs. You scrape a win against Brentford. You probably win 2-0 against Ipswich. Do you know what I mean? You probably then go into your next match and you win that. Like, these are the differences. So to not pick those boys is on the manager. And then lastly, you said about the players. Well, let's speak about the players. Christopher Nkunku, what's the fucking point in you being there, mate?
Doesn't want to be there.
You're absolutely shit. You make no runs to support any of your players. You jog around the pitch and wait for something to happen to you. And if this had always been your playing style, if you were Mesut Ozil, fair enough, yeah? But you're not fucking Mesut Ozil. I saw you last season when you came back from injury. I was at the match against Newcastle when you came on left wing off of the bench. You were gliding about. You were making opportunities for yourself. I saw you in pre-season where you felt like you were going to be played in a position that you liked and you were having it off in pre-season. You were looking good in the game against Club America, for example, when he was playing more at the Leicester system with the inverted 10s and Christopher Nkunku was thriving. You look good. But you are not a fighter in the slightest. You've got no fight in you. You're a weakling. You're a wimp, basically, yeah? And the second that you realised that you'd be playing second fiddle, you went, fuck this, might be on 100 and however many grand, 120 grand or
200
something.
grand.
200, there you go, 200 grand a week, but I'm not going to put the effort in. I'm not going to go in behind and make those runs. I'm not going to bust the gut because I don't really want to be here anyway, but I'm happy to pick up the pay packet. And Nkunku, shit yesterday, as always. Malo Gusto, right? Malo Gusto, I feel so sorry for Malo Gusto. I look at the comment section and what do they say, Josh?
Tell me.
Comment section saying Malo Gusto shit. Malo Gusto's had a rubbish season, whatever. Even me and you came in for a bit of stick the other day because I said that Malo Gusto was probably the weakest out of our defenders in the game against Tottenham. And everyone said, oh, well, if you look on the stats, if you look on SofaScore and whatever, I don't need to. I'm looking on the eye test. And and directly after me saying that he was the weakest, I said he was the one given the hardest job. He's tasked with, firstly, inverting into midfield. We'll speak about that in a second. And secondly, being able to get back and then have cover for Son, who has been one of the best left wingers over the past, half a decade in the Premier League,
Absolutely.
right? And Malo Gusto, the young Frenchman who sometimes still plays under 21 football for France rather than fucking first team football for France, is in having to have the job of pocketing Son in that game, right? Now, what I will say is this. Malo Gusto in the match against Brentford, where the fuck is he playing? Because they say inverted midfield, right? So when I think of inverted midfielder, I think, okay, cool, someone like Cucurella last season to come in, help out the midfielder and actually do that sort of job, get in amongst the nitty gritty. So say, for example, last season, Conor Gallagher might carry the ball forward, Cucurella would come in and invert and he'd be next to Caicedo. Now, Cucurella does a very, very good job. Because actually what we've seen is something that we never knew he had from his days at Brighton, is he does have an element of being able to conjure up something in attack. Now, Cucurella does that quite well.
Top goal scorer for Chelsea in 2025. Did you know that?
Is he?
Yeah, Mark Cucurella. 3 goals.
That says something. But Cucurella can be able to offer something doing that. Malo Gusto is not good at doing that. He's not good at doing that.
Do you think? Malo Gusto's a winger.
Mate, Malo Gusto yesterday was playing for fucking centre forward some of the time.
I know.
I was sitting there watching it. I said to my mate Alf, I said, mate, do I not know football, or is Malo Gusto playing centre forward here?
To be fair to Enzo Maresca, the way that the left-back Reece James was inverting inwards, he was becoming one of the three, and Malo Gusto was moving forwards and playing basically where Cucurella is playing. Cucurella was taking up very similar positions on the left-hand side that Malo Gusto was. So I think, actually, from a consistency basis, is actually very similar. The thing that we need to discuss with Malo Gusto is he has played this season left-back, right-back, centre-mid, number 10, right wing, and probably loads of and centre forward if you have your way with this game. Like, there are so many different players that we could say exactly the same thing for. When are we gonna just keep it simple and have players playing where they naturally are positioned and probably best stats, a la a Reece James, for example, having to play at left back in this game, which I think is actually more of a travesty than the Malo Gusto position, to be fair. And when are we just going to see players getting the best out of themselves in those roles? I think there is so much about modern football where it's like, positions don't matter, players can move about the pitch. But what happens with that is you end up with players like Mark Cucurella in positions in which they're unused to. And Mark Cucurella is so good, he can get a header in, and score a goal, and he can shoot from outside the edge of the area. But really what you really want is attacking players in attacking positions and defenders in defensive positions. And I think the Enzo Maresca system at the moment, what it's not doing very well is enabling the players to thrive in the positions that they are. And I think you're right. I think the Malo Gusto position is weird because the way that it worked in the average positions is, as you say, he was closer to the centre forward than he was to the winger, right? But really what we know that Malo Gusto's best position is wide, whipping the ball in and getting crosses in. That's what he's best at. So why not have Noni cutting inside, enable him to be more of that centre forward role and invert, and let Malo Gusto be on the overlap.
He overlaps.
It's not complicated. It's
not
a massive
you
change.
Get Malo Gusto on the overlap, whips in the ball, and obviously meets the head of prolific goal scorer Christopher Nkunku.
Yeah, he scored a lot of headers in the Conference League.
Yeah,
he's the top goal scorer in the Conference League.
No, he's not.
Who is the top goal scorer in the Conference League?
He's not even our top goal scorer, mate.
Who is the top goal scorer for Chelsea in the Conference League?
Mark Gue.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Really? I thought it was Christopher Nkunku.
No, 5 goals, Christopher Nkunku, and the Gu Dogs on 6, I believe.
Oh, we love Mark Yu.
There you go.
It's going to be nice to have him back soon, isn't it?
Oh, couldn't give a fuck. Really.
Any other players that you're pissed off at?
I'm not pissed off at anyone. I don't see the fucking point of putting Reece James at left back. Like, what on earth are we doing there? By the way, to touch on Malo Gusto, Liverpool probably will put in some sort of bid for Malo Gusto next season, and if Chelsea accept it and end up letting Malo Gusto go and feel that the academy products we've got in sort of Joshua Changpong can cover that area better, being that formationally, systematically, we're not playing in a system that favours Malo Gusto. If we were to do that and Malo Gusto was to go, he probably ends up making team of the season with Liverpool winning the league next season, something like that, doing, basically what Trent was doing for many years. So there you go. Definitely. With Malo Gusto. That's what I'll leave it on that. I can't be fucked to talk that much longer about Chelsea, to be honest. So where does it leave us? Newcastle play tonight. I'd be shocked if they don't win that game. Obviously, their goal deficit means that it'll put them 5th on points. But Leicester could pull something out the bag. Who knows? It will put us 5th on points, but with a game in hand. And as as if it wasn't already, every match is a must-win now, starting with, obviously, Ipswich at home next week. We have got Legia Warsaw before that. We will do a preview for that game, but Ipswich is now a must-win. If you can get a result against Ipswich at home, Fulham away and Everton at home become more winnable games, definitely games that you're going into with a lot more morale around you. And then at least by the time we head into those games against the likes of Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle, even Forest, right, at least we might still have something to play for. Because I'll tell you one thing, if we don't take now maximum points, in my opinion, from Ipswich, Fulham and Everton, right, I'm on about 9 points. If we don't take 9 points, like 7, there may be a world. There may be a world where 7 points is enough that you can finish top 5 if you take 7 out of those 3 games. But in my opinion, if you don't take 9, you ain't finishing top 5. Because I just look at the form of a Newcastle, the form of an Aston Villa, and the class of a Man City, and I think, well, if you're giving Nottingham Forest 3rd, I've just named 3 teams there that 2 on form and 1 on class in terms of what they have are going to be able to take more points than Chelsea. So, yeah, very very pessimistic outlook from myself today.
Well,
is this the most boring video you've ever been on with
It's
me?
absolutely not the most boring video. Absolutely not. It's definitely, I can feel the pain of it. And I think a lot of Chelsea fans feel the pain of it at the moment, to be fair. I agree with you, though. I think if we don't get those... If we say for example, we got 6 points out of those games, then it would be very, very difficult to get Champions League football. I totally agree. If we do get 6 points out of those next 3 games, we would have to 100% beat Man United. I think we'd have to 100% beat Forest. Because I think if you look at those Newcastle and Liverpool games, I just can't see us getting any points from those. I just think those are 2 losses.
Worst news is I had fucking tickets for Legia Warsaw, the home game, and for Fulham away, which I won't be able to go to now either.
Well, we can always get you some tickets, Joey. You know that.
No, I know, but I won't be able to go to those 2 games now. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Would have been able to celebrate my win, go up to Chelsea, actually watch us win a few games, and now...
Well, you can't guarantee us winning some games, to be fair.
We would have. When I'm in attendance, we always win.
It changes everything. Do you know what, though? Like, I think at the moment, I do find it so weird that we're prioritising, or look like we're prioritising the Conference League. And I said it to you earlier in the season. You care about the Conference League more than I do. You want to win it.
I'd like to win it, but
Yeah.
if you had have said to me right now, would you have fielded this team sheet for us to prioritise Conference League? I said no. So that's only a way of spinning it.
Didn't you say you wanted to finish? You would finish 5th if it meant that we would win the Conference League. Didn't we have that discussion?
I might have said if 5th guaranteed us Champions League spot. Yeah.
Finish 5th, win the Conference League. See, I would rather finish 4th and go out of it in the next round.
What, even if 5th guaranteed you Champions League
I just don't
spot?
give a fuck about the Conference League. I don't think anyone really should, because it's a pointless tin pot trophy that no one really gives a fuck about. We don't win any money from it. We get, just to put this into context, right? We'll probably get, I don't know, 5 million quid, maybe even less than that for winning the Conference League. We're getting 60 for turning up in the Club World Cup. For turning up. So if that doesn't put it into context for you, I don't think anything will do. To be honest with you, and this is why they're prioritising the Club World Cup over everything.
Fair enough. Can't really argue it. People, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Hopefully we'll be a bit more upbeat for you. In the next one, Legia Warsaw preview. Next one out.
Subscribe for that video because fuck me, that's going to be a big one. I am going to give Joey a sparring session in the next 10 minutes and then we'll see how it goes from there.
At least someone will fucking turn up to fight me. Right, in a bit.